Hello, YouTube. Stole that from Boogie, I think. I'm sure other people use it too. Anyway, I have a little bit of a confession to make. But first, look at my shirt. Pretty cool, hey? Got some Pokemans, discount Pokemans with the Poke baseball. Anyway, I cheated, sort of, I guess. I mean, I know I said it. I wouldn't be rude and refuse to go out to restaurants if somebody invited me, but my mom and my sister were over, and I was making my sister a bacon breakfast bagel, and I may or may not have had one for myself. I did. I I was making delicious food, and I wanted to have some too, so I had some, and I might have had Papa John's last night with my roommate, but they were doing something new. They had a special on. Didn't want to pass up the opportunity to try something new. Like I said, food means something different to me than just a fuel source. I like to enjoy it. The biggest thing I like to do is go and experience new things. I very rarely have the same thing twice. I'll often get different things or try new restaurants or try new food items or whatever, just because I enjoy that kind of experience. And I couldn't resist. But it's not like I entered into this because of the challenge of eating Soylent for 30 days. It was more to answer some questions I had. And some of those questions have been answered today with my first, what I would call a Soylent poop. So after, 3.5 days of eating nothing but Soylent, I guess there's nothing else really in my digestive system to process. And you could definitely tell there was a slightly different consistency and coloring to it. It looked actually closer to like the color of Soylent. So I guess to update you on how I've been feeling, I have felt more energy. I feel like there are things I'm getting out of the Soylent that I just didn't have in my regular diet, which makes sense. Like I said, I'm relatively atypical as far as my metabolism and stuff is concerned. So that combined with my programming job where I sit around programming for a lot of the day really makes a recipe for disaster. I can eat 2,000 calories and still gain weight. So I find it really hard to keep off weight and get all the nutrients I need. And a lot of times I don't do the necessary planning to pull that off properly. I try a little bit with fruits and vegetables and stuff like that just to try to make those more of my diet than I normally would. It's a little less satisfying, but I'm getting more vitamins out of them, especially if I eat a lot of vitamin-rich fruits and vegetables, as opposed to just like a potato full of starch and not a whole lot of good for you compared to the amount you're consuming. So in that regard, I think Soylent is doing some good things for me. It's helping me feel energized again. And I'm sure once I go back to school in the fall and I'm walking more and taking public transit and doing a lot more physical activity, it won't really be as much of a problem. I'll be able to eat what I need to eat and get the nutrients I need to get without constantly gaining weight. So not much to add past that. I feel relatively good. I guess one thing I did want to touch on is how satisfied Soylent makes you, because it doesn't sometimes. So what I mean is, when you eat a big meal, when you consume a large volume of food, you feel full, you feel satisfied. And then later on, depending on what you ate, you're either going to get hungry again right away, especially if you've had a lot of just processed carbohydrates, like if you're eating cake or something like that, something with a lot of sugar in it, you're going to feel hungry again right away. But if you ate something heavier, some oats or something really hearty, something with a lot of complex carbohydrates, your body's taking longer to break it down and you just feel satisfied. What I find with Soylent is that you don't necessarily eat enough of a volume, or I guess drink enough of a volume to feel satisfied. Like, you don't feel full, but you're not really getting hungry either, which is a strange juxtaposition in some ways. You don't feel satisfied, but you are. So what I tried to do was instead of drinking it throughout the day, instead of doing like 6 smaller meals, I'm trying to do 3 larger meals. But then the first time I tried that, I just felt good for about 15 minutes, and then I felt awful. My body was just complaining, like my stomach was gurgling, and it was like, oh, that was a bad idea. Why did you take all that in? And I guess I have to try to find a happy medium. But I thought that was something I would share because that was one of the questions I wanted to ask was, will Soylent make you feel satisfied? And I think the answer is yes, but it won't necessarily make you feel full, which I think is a big component to food for me. I like to take pleasure in it. I like to try new things. I like to feel, if I do kind of splurge, I like once in a while to have a big meal and feel full. It feels good to do that. So that's something you'll never have with Soylent. So what I'm finding more and more is that Soylent, while it provides satisfying sustenance, is not necessarily conducive to the whole pleasure aspect of food. So we'll probably explore this a little bit more in the future, but for now, that's it. I'm going to try to find a less awkward way to hit this stop button, but I didn't think up one in these 6 minutes I've been talking. So I'm just going to go ahead and give it a press now.